Hey everyone! Welcome to Bot Says So, your go-to channel for all things AI.
Today, we're talking about something that each and every one of us has faced: failure. Yes, failure, that big, heavy word that makes your stomach drop and fills your mind with doubt. But let me tell you something: failure isn't the end of your story. In fact, it's often just the beginning. You see, we live in a world that glamorizes success, the shining moments, the big wins, the accolades. But what we rarely hear about is the path people took to get there, the wrong turns, the dead ends, the moments when they felt completely defeated. Yet, without those moments, success wouldn't mean anything. Without failure, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't learn, and we wouldn't become who we're meant to be. Think about Thomas Edison. We all know him as the man who invented the light bulb. But do you know how many times he failed before he got it right? 10,000 times. 10,000. Can you imagine working on something, failing over and over again, and still pressing forward? When asked about it, Edison said something that sticks with me: "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset, seeing failure as feedback instead of defeat, is what separates those who give up from those who eventually succeed. And it's not just Edison. Take Steve Jobs, for example. He was fired from Apple, the very company he co-founded. Can you imagine being kicked out of the thing you poured your heart and soul into? But instead of giving up, he went on to build something even more remarkable: Pixar. And eventually, he returned to Apple, stronger and more innovative than ever before. Jobs himself once said, "Sometimes life is going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith." He didn't let failure define him, he used it to fuel his comeback. Now, let's get real for a moment. I know it's easy to hear these stories and think, well, they were special. They had something I don't. But that's not true. They were ordinary people who made an extraordinary decision to keep going, to persevere even when it felt impossible. And you can make that same decision. I remember a time when I faced failure head-on. There was a project I had been working on for months. I had put in the hours, the sweat, the late nights. And when it came time to present it, it flopped. It felt like everything I had worked for was worthless. I wanted to quit right then and there. But after a while, I realized something: failure wasn't the enemy. It was my reaction to it that mattered. So, I picked myself up, learned from my mistakes, and tried again. And you know what? The next time, it worked. That's the thing about failure: it's a teacher. It shows you what doesn't work so you can figure out what does. It builds resilience, character, and strength. Failure strips away the unnecessary and forces you to focus on what really matters. And here's another thing: failure isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something to be embraced. Think about it. When a child is learning to walk, they fall down over and over again. But do they give up? No. They get back up, again and again, until one day, they take their first steps. They don't see falling as failure, they see it as part of the process. And somewhere along the way, as we grow older, we forget that. If we stop trying because of failure, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to grow. Some of the most remarkable breakthroughs in history happened because someone was willing to fail, repeatedly. They were willing to look foolish, to face criticism, to endure setbacks. And because they didn't give up, they found success. Think about J.K. Rowling. Before she became one of the most successful authors in the world, she was rejected by 12 different publishers. Can you imagine if she had stopped after the first rejection? Or even after the 10th? But she didn't. She kept going, and because of that, millions of people have been inspired by her stories. Failure also teaches us empathy. When you've struggled, when you've faced defeat, you understand what it's like for others who are going through tough times. It makes you kinder, more compassionate, more human. And that, in itself, is a kind of success. One thing I want you to remember is that failure is temporary. It feels permanent in the moment, like you'll never get past it, but you will. Time moves forward, and so can you. Each day is a new opportunity to try again, to do better, to move closer to your goals. Let's talk about mindset for a moment. The way you think about failure matters. If you see it as the end, it will be. But if you see it as a lesson, as a stepping stone, then it becomes a powerful tool for growth. There's a quote I love that says, "Whether you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right." Your mindset shapes your reality. So, when you fail, don't say, "I can't do this." Instead, say, "I haven't figured it out yet." That one word, "yet," keeps the door open for possibility. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. When you're facing failure, it's easy to isolate yourself, to feel like you're the only one struggling. But the truth is, everyone struggles. Everyone fails. And having people around you who remind you of that, who encourage you to keep going, can make all the difference. And here's the beautiful thing about failure: it makes success so much sweeter. When you finally achieve what you've been working toward, when you finally reach that goal, you appreciate it so much more because you know what it took to get there. You know the pain, the effort, the perseverance. Success without failure is hollow. It's the struggle that gives it meaning. So, if you're facing failure right now, I want you to hear me when I say this: you are not alone. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, is built on a foundation of failure. It's not a sign that you're on the wrong path, it's a sign that you're on the path that matters. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying. You're not pushing yourself to grow beyond what you already know. Let failure teach you. Let it humble you. But most importantly, let it drive you. Take the lessons it offers and use them to become stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. Remember, failure is not final. It's a step. A step towards something greater, something worth fighting for. Now, take a moment and reflect on this. What would your life look like if you stopped fearing failure? What dreams would you chase if you knew that failing wasn't the end, but merely part of the journey? Imagine the doors that could open, the risks you would take, the goals you would set for yourself. You see, fear of failure often keeps us trapped in a small, safe world. But when you embrace failure, when you see it as a friend rather than a foe, you step into a world of limitless possibilities. Think of every setback as a setup for a comeback. Let every rejection fuel your determination to improve. Let every mistake guide you toward better decisions. Because life isn't about avoiding failure, it's about learning how to rise after you fall. It's about resilience, about getting up one more time than you fall down. Remember Michael Jordan? He's considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But did you know he was cut from his high school basketball team? He didn't let that failure stop him. Instead, he used it as motivation to work harder, to become better. He once said, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I have been entrusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life." So, keep going. Keep trying. Keep failing and keep learning. Because every great success starts with a story of failure. And one day, you'll look back on this moment and realize that it wasn't your downfall, it was your turning point. And when that day comes, you'll know something profound, that you didn't just overcome failure, you mastered it. You turned it into a tool, a friend, a guide. You became stronger not in spite of failure, but because of it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video inspired you to see failure in a new light and gave you the motivation to keep pushing forward. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next one.